action.
Hello, I'm Luke Darcy and welcome to Access All Areas. Great to be with you again in season 2013. Every Monday here on AFL.com, the big football issues discussed and dissected with the #1 football reporter in this town, award-winning journalist Damien Barrett joins me again. Hello, Damo.
G'day, Darcy. So welcome back to Access All Areas.
Good to be with you again.
Let's get straight into it. Essendon Friday night. It was as impressive as they possibly could have been under the circumstances.
It was a great win, Damo, first up. I was super impressed with Essendon. The way they handled it. Their coach, James Hurd, I thought was enormous under pressure, as were the players. I think, though, and I'm absolutely sure of this, that at some point the off-field distraction and the ongoing ASDA investigation, it gets you in the end. I think they'll be great this year. They'll show some good signs. I love them as a club, Damo. I like their list. But I reckon that there's too much going on off the field. Even if they are found to have had no problems, I reckon it'll catch up with them in the end. Yeah,
I'm with you on this. When they talk about resilience and being galvanised as a result of what's gone on, but I'm not sure it's sustainable for what we saw Friday night through the course of 22 weeks. And it's a different scenario, isn't it? It's one that sits very, very heavily on every single person's shoulders on that footy club. It's different to other crises at footy clubs because of that. This one affects every single person in the operation, and I'm with you. I think at some stage it's going to crack them.
Gets you in the end. The sliding rule, Damo, is a massive change to the game. Any way you look at it, whether you agree with it or not, we'll look at some of the more notable ones from the weekend, and we can see Alan Davey gets his legs taken away from
Okay, give me the footballer's perspective, Das. I reckon this is why this rule was brought in. That could have broken Davey's legs. I reckon that's the right decision, and that's why it's in.
It's the Gary Rowan broken leg from last year, and this is a habit that players have got into, getting lower and harder. That one, to me, is a little more technical, and I think the adjudication is going to be the issue throughout the year. And the opening round, I think the umpires were perhaps a little heavy-handed.
Okay,
I like the idea.
What happens here? Dangerfield just has to learn, as all footballers do, is this right, that you do not go to ground under any circumstance now when the ball's like that? Is that what they're saying?
That is why this is such a significant change to the way the game has been played, because it hasn't been that for ever since the game has been played. But I like that. As a kid, you always taught keep your feet. There's just going to take some adjustment to make sure that's the case.
Yep. Hey, the Crows can play some beautiful football. Did last year and probably will again in 2013. But they need to roll their sleeves up a bit, Das, and get a bit dirty. I raise that because of this tackle discrepancy from the other night. 47 tackles their way, 73 for Essendon. Big difference there. Go back to last year. Only the Gold Coast Suns and GWS had fewer tackles than them throughout the course of 2012. Is that going to be their fallback this year?
Well, I think Brenton Sanderson put that on the agenda after the game. You don't win games when you get out-tackled as badly as they did in the weekend. Here's some good examples of Crows players. Scotty Thompson, who's probably one of the more effective tacklers, just getting brushed aside a little too easy. Melksham gets around and kicks that goal. You've got to make these stick. This is McKay, again, going past the tackle of Melksham, and they would look back and thought there's probably 4 or 5 goals out of this alone that if you make the tackle stick. On the reverse of that, Damo, don't argue here, that's a bit demoralising for the Crows in a big game at the start of the year, whereas Zaharakis' tackle there, the way the Bombers committed themselves to the tackle, I reckon it was almost the difference between the two sides on the night.
But it's either in you or not in you, isn't it? And you can't click your fingers and make it work. Clearly there's an issue there with the Crows. I would have thought on those stats from last year and what we've seen in round 1 this year.
Yeah, there's also, I think, a technique aspect to it and a focus. I mean, Adelaide had a sensational year last year, winning the footy. I think you need to just turn your attention to it a little bit more. AFL might want to turn the attention, Damo, to actually bringing a coin out to start the game. Now, there's some comedy involved in this because the umpire thinks pretty quickly on his feet, as you can say. Have you got the coin? No, didn't get a coin provided. He gives his whistle and there's a bit of fun in it, but surely someone at the AFL remembers to bring a coin.
Well, there's a game manager and there's an umpire's boss. I don't know how that can happen. Look, there's a bit of a bullet being dodged here. That could have been a 6-goal breeze, and had it gone Adelaide's way, Adelaide's home ground, 6-goal breeze, as is sometimes the case at that stadium. Look, it's not worth talking about too much longer, but let's just get this right from the start. Hey, Sam Jacobs, you ruckman, your fraternity, are genuinely mad sometimes. What's he doing here, Das? Take me through these fisticuff movements.
Yeah, I noticed this watching the game on Friday night, and I've got no idea, to be perfectly honest with you. Either he's...
Is it to himself? Is it to his teammates? Is it to the bench?
I hope that it's some sort of signal to the players. He put his hand up. That might be play number 4, which means we're going to flick it slightly further towards the banner.
Fist
one might be every time I do that, I hit it absolutely in the direction of Paddy Dangerfield, which I reckon would be play 1, 2, 3 and 4 for me if I was anywhere near a contest. A little bit of boxing, Damo. I have no idea what it's about, but I'd like to think it's some sort of signal.
Hey, it happened last year at West Coast with injuries just curtailing what could have been an otherwise good year. It's happening again, Das. It happened again on the weekend. Mark LeCraft, first game back since the 0-11 prelim final.
It's a tragedy, that one.
Broken up.
He'll come back, but he's a star of the game, LeCraft. Really disappointed.
Mackenzie, it says 1 to 2 weeks. That's what the club's saying. Could be longer with a hamstring. Kerr, Nat Nui, Wellingham jumping on a trampoline. Rosa, Nikoski. That doesn't look good to us right now.
Yeah, that is a list that will hurt them. They need to get more players back out on the park. And as you said, Kerr, they're stars too. I mean, LeCraft's an All-Australian for me if he stays fit and healthy. How about Aaron Sandlands? Have you got an update on him from a Fremantle point of view?
Just the update is that will emerge through today or tomorrow, and that being that if it's decided he needs to have surgery on that hamstring, it could well be the year for him, Das. It'll be the Matthew Lloyd style of operation, which does set you back at least 16 weeks, if not the entire season. We'll know, hopefully, in the next 24 hours as to if that is the case. But if it is surgery, he's in a bit of trouble.
Damo, I asked you to do some homework before our first show here this afternoon. Your top 8, and you've got a little bit of chest puffed out about you on the back of Fremantle causing an upset. Did you do this after the game, Damo, on a Saturday and Fremantle had won? Because I'd like to think that you didn't pick Fremantle before
no, I did.
Win.
I did. I'm very happy I did.
You reckon they're going to win the...
Really bullish about them, Das. So I just felt what they did last year under Ross Lyon is enough to suggest they can go all the way this year. And certainly what they showed in round 1 is endorsement, I think, of that view right now. What about your top 8, Das? I've got basically the same 8 as last year.
Well, you haven't. You don't rate Carlton at all, Damo?
No, I have got the same 8 as last year. It's you who've changed that. You've put Carlton in.
And I think they'll make the 8, Damo. That's why I put them in. I think your North Melbourne bias might be creeping in. That's the difference between our two sides.
Geelong 8th, though. It's a bit lower than some people.
Yeah, I just think they've... you take Scarlett, you take Ling, you take Ottens, you take Mooney, you take Milburn. It's a group that is irreplaceable. They've held up really strongly over a long period of time. I just think this year they mightn't be up towards the top 4. I've got them in the bottom half of the 8. Now, you made some big statements on access all areas last year, Damo. Heading into what feels like round 1, Carlton-Richmond, have you got a couple of things you want to get off your chest?
I just think this Thursday night game, if Richmond beats Carlton on this game, I think it makes the finals, Das. I think it's as simple as that with Richmond. Everything is geared up toward them having to make the finals by way of the pressure on the footy department from that footy club. And I don't think they will win on Thursday night. But I think if they do, they make the finals.
Hang on a minute. What did you just say? If they make it, they make the finals. Yep. You don't think they will, which means you
say... Which means typical Richmond.
Richmond are gone. Richmond. 2 supporter groups with more fanaticism you've never seen before. How about the Demons in 2013?
There's games in a season, and Melbourne's game is coming in round 1. They have to beat Port Adelaide on Sunday just to simply get some stuff right to go on. They haven't finished in single figure later finishes now for 6 years, Das. It needs to be a win on Port Adelaide on the Sunday.
So Damo's put a line through Richmond, put a line through Melbourne. We haven't even got through the halfway mark of round 1.
And your big statements, or are yours?
They'll come at the appropriate time, Damo. I don't like to fire my shots just yet. But before we go, a reminder, we are all over our Twitter handle again in 2013 here at Access All Areas. You can get on board at AFL_AAA and tweet in your thoughts at any stage during the week. We love hearing from you. Thank you, Damo. Nice work from you first up. Keep coming back and clicking to afl.com.au for more news, great video content throughout the week. We'll catch you next Tuesday because of the Easter Monday game between the Cats and the Hawks. So keep an eye out for Damo and I, Access All Areas on Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye for now.